Welcome to Menon Thoughts, where technology, life, and growth comes together with purpose. I'm Govind Menon, here to walk you through the challenges of your career and times of healing. This is episode 4 of our series Idea to Impact. In this episode, we are diving into not the biggest problem of a startup, but definitely a problem which can make or break the momentum of a startup. Finding the right co-founder and building a team that doesn't join but stays with you through the thick and thin of the startup journey. So if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. This is an African proverb which fits right into what we're going to talk about today. So, do you really need a co-founder in a startup? Basically, you require it because I believe that solo founders struggle when having a co-founder adds value. It not just helps you in the growth process. It's a complementary skill. It's an emotional support, a shared risk. There are a couple of things like that which comes in with it, and that's why you need a co-founder. So how do you decide not to have a co-founder? Well, let's say you start off with something and then you say, I don't want this guy as my co-founder. That is when you have conflicting visions, mismatch in work ethics. That is when you can probably move away from that person and find another co-founder, because that happens when you start off a startup journey. You probably start off with somebody, and then over a period of time, ethics don't match, vision doesn't match, progress doesn't match. You might want to move on, but still you need a co-founder, because having a co-founder is basically, as I said, emotional support more than anything else, right? I mean, and a shared risk that is there, right? What to look in a co-founder when you are actually looking for building your startup? Trustworthiness and shared values, that is one important factor. Trustworthiness comes in multiple ways. You could have worked with that particular person in your previous life as an employee in an organization, or it could be a friend of yours who studied with you in your graduation or in the beginning of your career, your friend. Shared values, you both have the same values in terms of how to actually run the organization, what is the end goal of the organization, the ethics. That's very important when you talk about shared values in an organization, right? But primarily, I believe that you should look for skills you lack, right? For example, if you take my scenario, I am a techie guy, not a marketing guy. So probably look for a person who is good at that. I am not good with organizational finances. Probably getting VCs and stuff like that is not my forte. Probably a person who is good in business, right? So like in two words, tech versus business, right? Or it could be design versus product. I'm a good product developer, but I'm not a very good designer in terms of the UI and stuff like that. I know technology, but I don't know the workflow. I know the workflows also, but not the UI side of it. I'm not too good with UX and user interface. Probably that person could be that. The other thing, probably very important thing that you might want to look at is conflict resolution mindset, right? Because when it's a startup, it tends to have a lot of conflicts, especially at the top level. And because it's so much of a pressure scenario, you tend to have a lot of areas where you get to loggerheads, not just within the founders and co-founders, even with the employees, right? I mean, because there might be times when you want to take it in a direction and the client comes with some other thing. There might be scenarios where the team is frustrated because it's a young team, you are still trying to figure out things. So conflict resolution is one of the most important factor. And probably past experiences like a side project, mutual work that you have done together, that comes as a very important factor in a co-founder. Sometimes, like, I mean, I remember when I did Five Hive, the founder of that organization, I was a co-founder, he was the founder. Him and me, we went way back. I mean, we started working together probably in 1996, 97. In that organization, in different roles, we were working together. There was a time when he was my boss. I was reporting into him. We are still friends. Our families were friends. All that stuff comes into play, right? So that helps a lot, right? But one factor that I would want to bring it in here, when you take these things into account, if the business goes for a toss, if there's a good possibility you lose a good friend, good possibility, right? But it revives back over a period of time. For a short period, you might not want to talk to each other at some times, right? So, but anyway, so these are few factors I think you should look at. Now, how do you find these co-founders in your circle? Look in your own network, friends, ex-colleagues, hackathon, people who have worked with you, Almunia network. There are few platforms I think which are there, which are like co-founder dating platforms, if you may, co-founder labs. Yeah, and there is one more, I think it is Y Combinator Forum. There are a couple of them like that. You can probably search in those. Start building in public, right? I mean, you can actually find people who are attracted towards your story, your life. Probably post it in LinkedIn. Try to find believers who believe in the same cause as what you are trying to build out. Another suggestion is work together before you commit. Sort of a trial period. You can probably think of that. I tried one of the places I was invited as a co-founder. I worked with them for 3-4 weeks. I'm not saying that they were bad, but the vibes were not there. So I moved on, and that was a quick move that I did, right? So that's one part, right? Also, very important, apart from co-founders, is the early core team. That is also very important. Sometimes from the core team you get a co-founder, sometimes, right? Over a period of time. So build a core team that stays with you. Hire early employees versus co-founders. Try that. I mean, if you don't have a ready-made go-to co-founder, probably hire employees and early core employees that are there, right? Be clear about vision, equities, roles when you're talking to these co-founders, because that in the flow of things, people tend to forget about discussing all these in the startup because of all the energy that is there and when this beginning of a startup journey, right? I think culture, that is very important in your startup. What are your startup's unwritten rules? You probably have to define it very clearly, right? Transparency in communication, build loyalty with the team, the core team, the co-founder. Reward commitments, not just skills. Committed people are very rare to get, so try to reward them. Main mistakes to avoid, I would say, don't rush into co-founder relationships. Take your time, look at a couple of options, as I said, trial periods and all those things. Don't avoid hard conversations with co-founders, even if they're friends or people whom you know for 20, 30 years, or 15 years, 16 years. Talk about money, talk about ownership, and even talk about exit plans if required, right? Otherwise, if you don't talk about exit plans, what happens is, if things go south when you want to move out, or if the other person wants to move out for whatever reason, if they are friends with whom you have actually started off the organization, you would be in a catch-22, talking to them about things which you might not be probably doing when you were friends. Sometimes you drag your feet for exiting from the organization because you think, oh, it's my friend, I need to stick around and help him out. So that might also be a issue that you might want to avoid. And don't try to hire a clone of yourself. You are a good techie, don't try to get another good techie, right? Diversity wins in a startup, because if you are there as a techie, you need a complementary role. If you are good with finance, then you need somebody who is a techie, if it's a technology startup or whatever it is, right? I mean, whichever startup you want to try to build up, right? So in conclusion, I would say your co-founder and your early team are not just your employees, they're your shipmates, right? They have to stick around with you in that particular ship, in sea, through the rough weathers, to the calm weathers, everything. And so you need people who believe in the mission as much as you do, right? And you will weather every storm together, if you get the right shipmates, right? Yeah, that's all I had in this video. This is a short one though, right? Yeah, that's all I have. If you have not seen the other episodes of this particular series, I'll leave a link at the end of the video. You can go and look at those, and I think I've put it across also, right? Okay, right. So that's all. This is Man and Thoughts signing off. Until we connect again, keep learning, keep caring.